Hi, everyone. So, for today's live, I wanted to talk about how you can read product labels and kind of not be intimidated by them. Sometimes they can be a really long list and it's nothing to be overwhelmed by. But I will say that if you are interested in knowing as much about skincare ingredients as possible, one of the best things you can do is buy the most recent edition of the Milady's textbook, which a lot of us use in school as estheticians. They have a full I'll say ingredients encyclopedia. And that's always changing, it's always being updated. So if you want to know as much about ingredients as possible, definitely check that out. Keep in mind too that oftentimes ingredients that we think we know really well, like let's say vitamin E, can actually have a name, that might contain an alcohol. So, like with vitamin E, there's a name called tocopherol, which is nothing to be scared of either. So feel free to ask questions in the comments. I'll try to answer them best as I can. And I'm always learning as well when it comes to this stuff, guys. I try to stay on top of things with skincare ingredients, but the industry is always changing, which is a great thing. So there is a special board, a special committee that comes up with these ingredient names and labels. It's the INCI, and these are scientists, and they basically regulate those skincare ingredients. So all of this is very carefully done. When you look at a skincare bottle, often there can be two separate ingredient lists. So there's the ingredients that you see when you're just looking at the bottle. There may be like a peel away label or something with a more detailed ingredient list as well. At MDPen, when you do become an MDPen skincare professional, we always want our professionals to have that full ingredient list breakdown. It's really important. Another reason to read ingredients thoroughly is also for safety reasons. So common allergies in skincare, I've found can be things like enzymes such as like pineapple, papaya. These are questions that should be on your intake forms, but it is good to know and definitely look at all your ingredients. It's a huge misconception to think that you can just read the first 5 ingredients of a product and know everything about it. Yes, the first 5 make up, they're the most concentrated ingredients in the product, but it doesn't mean that the rest of the ingredients won't affect or change the skin. So it's really important to look at that. I see a question here. How can you identify the active ingredients in a skincare product from its label? So it's good to know what types of ingredients can be actives. Usually the active ingredients will also be highlighted on the product. So let's say like on the front of the bottle, you will see the more active. So let's look at our Tighten and Lift Serum from MDPen. It says with lactic acid and green tea on it. Now, when it comes to the word active, different products have different active percentages. So something like a retinol could be active at 0.25, to 1%, whereas a product like salicylic acid will usually not be called active unless it's in the 2% range. And then there's ingredients like niacinamide, which serve totally different purposes depending on the actual percentage. So these are all things to look into. I will say if you're someone asking from the general public, I wouldn't, I would have this conversation with your skincare professional. You yourself, you don't have to be too concerned with identifying this. I see a question here. How can you identify potential irritants or sensitizer in skincare products label? Sure. So irritants and sensitive, that can depend on your own sensitivities as far as what can be irritating. So if you're someone which I think everyone should avoid dyes and fragrances in their skincare, but let's say that you cannot use them. These are things you want to look for. I would also be careful with the word fragrances because there's perfume or parfum type fragrances, and then there can be smells that come from plants, from botanicals, that can have great smells, or even like essential oils. So just because something has a smell, it doesn't mean that it's a fragrance or something that's going to give you allergies. So these are all things to look into. I highly recommend having these conversations, of course, with your healthcare professional, your skin specialist, and let them be able to help you as well. Let's look here. Ronell saying, especially for men, all ingredients are mostly harsh. This can be the truth with over-the-counter products, and as we know, and it's a whole separate discussion, men and women, male and female products are labeled so differently, they're presented so differently, they have different color variations, and that's a whole nother, marketing women's studies conversation I would love to have sometime, but it is quite interesting, and a lot of times they can be more harsh. It's also very important that when you're reading a product label to look at the directions on the product. So, for example, there's a body wash made by the Perfect Peel company. Perfect Peel has, the wonderful Perfect Derma Peel. And they have a body wash. And on the body wash, it is very clear, do not use this on your face. This body wash is amazing for body acne, folliculitis, all types of things, but it is not meant to be used on the face. It's harsh. It's in, a harsher category. So these are things that you want to pay attention to and read as well. Let me see if I'm missing any questions. I think I'm already answering your question, Trisha. I'm going to link some skincare here as we keep talking. So again, getting back to the high to low percentages as far as how products are listed, you do want to read every single product on the bottle. And many ingredients like peptides and certain acids, they don't need to be heavy-handed like an ingredient like water would be. So if you see water listed as a first ingredient, don't think like, oh, this is a cheap product and they're just filling it with water. No, that's not how it works. So definitely keep that in mind. Again, things can be, can be in a product in a sneaky way. So a lot of us know the word hyaluronic acid. We know that skincare ingredient, but hyaluronic acid has other names. So make sure you know those other names when you're also reading the skincare product label, because your favorite ingredient may be present in a product and you don't even know it. I always talk about MDPen's vitamin C serum and, of course, our Revita peptide as kind of like hero products. They have more than one purpose. These have, a very loaded ingredient list. They have multiple purposes. They have a lot to break down. And you want to always read the ingredients carefully. If it's, a large name, don't be overwhelmed. Once you type it in Google, you'll be able to find, what it is. Sometimes it's something as simple as like willow bark. So that's another great way to find things. I see another question here. How can you tell if a skincare product is cruelty-free or vegan? Typically, vegan products will tell you that they're vegan. With MDPen, we kind of have them around the upper rim of the bottle above the ingredients tab. Sometimes you will see that special like little bunny or something like that indicating cruelty-free or vegan. I think most skincare lines are cruelty-free at this point, but it is something to look out for, especially if that's something that you're really passionate about. Definitely check your bottles for that if it's something concerning to you. And with MDPen, all of our ingredients make sense. We call our pure hyaluronic acid serum the perfect HA, and it really is, guys. It only has 5 ingredients. And the first 2, like we said, being water and then HA. So you've got glycerin and glycol coming in towards the end of the ingredient list. But HA, again, being that second ingredient. Making sure that I'm not missing any questions. I hope you guys have found this video quite helpful. There's a lot to break down when it comes to ingredients, and I hope that you have found this helpful. The same goes for our hair products. They're really well labeled. So pretty much everything you can see is on there. There's also special things like I believe it's SH, they will put onto ingredient names, which will tell you if an ingredient is synthetic. So there's little details in there, that you can learn if you want to know as much as you can about ingredients. This is one reason why it's kind of nice to streamline the products in your office and know exactly what you carry. You don't need to retail 50 products. At MDPen, we have a SKU of 13, three of them being hair products. So, I will help you. We train you really well to master the ingredients in those 10 skincare products and those 3 hair care products. And you're going to know how to talk about them, exactly the same way I do with your patients. Thank you so much, Mandy. I'm glad you love them. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We will have more content. Bye, guys.